Hey guys, Ty Bryson here, and welcome back to the channel. And a recession is literally not a joke. It's not what you want whatsoever, but there is a way to go out there, make sure you survive, and on top of that, make sure you also make a profit from everything going on out there. And the big thing is that a recession basically means the economy starts to slow down, unemployment numbers go up, people don't have a job, and on top of that, wages can also go down. Now, before you start getting scared and worried, I do have to say one thing. Yes, the Fed raised rates. Yes, the stock market is down. But right now, all we have is just an alert, okay? It's an alert. It can happen, but it's not like, oh my gosh, we're in a recession, because if we were in a recession, I wouldn't have to make an alert video. You would know, okay? And I remember when I was a kid, everything would always be funny. Like if my friends fell down, I would laugh about it. But when I fell down and they laughed at me, it wasn't funny anymore, okay? So recessions are like, in the past, like, oh my gosh, that's crazy, we could have made so much money. But when you're in it, you don't want to hear about money and about making money. You just want to get out of it. But this video is a way to make sure you're protected, you're safe, you can survive the entire thing. And on top of that, if you do have some extra cash and you want to make a profit, when you want to make money, it's the perfect way to make money, because a recession is the playground for rich people. It's where a lot of wealth is interchanged between people that might be very wealthy, people that are poor but now are going to be wealthy. A lot of things happen when you have confusion, and you want to be on the right side, and hopefully this video helps you. As always, guys, smash the like button. I appreciate it a ton, and let's get right into this video. Now, the very first thing, guys, is simple. Why is a recession a great way for you to go ahead and make money? And naturally, it's very simple once you consider its simplicity. When everything is going good in the economy and things are great, and it's very cheap to go ahead and borrow a lot of money and buy some property, buy some whatever you want to buy, okay? Especially if you want to invest money into the stock market and you're like, oh my gosh, I have a great job, I just got a raise. Everything is so good, and everyone is willing to pay the market price for whatever is selling. And usually what happens is you have so much money in the economy, but you only have so much inventory, so many assets, so many properties, right? So you have few of these things, well, few supply, a lot of demand, and then when that happens, usually the prices go up, okay? And when the economy is going great, this tends to happen a lot, and that's not great, because that can then go ahead and cause inflation. So the Fed always tries to step in and say, hey, let's make it a little bit more expensive to borrow money. That way people can go ahead and slow down. But my point is, okay, when everything is going good in the economy, things become very expensive in a sense, and you have very few opportunities for average folks to go ahead and get a bargain deal on a property or on a stock or just on index funds or whatever you actually want to buy, or even buying a business. You can actually buy a business. You knew that? Like, that's a legit thing to do. It's not just real estate and stock market. You can go ahead and buy a small business also and make some money from that too. But my point is, when things are good, things are also high, and that's not that great. But whenever you have a recession, and guess what happens? Usually, the rates, they go up. So it becomes a lot more expensive to go ahead and borrow money, meaning people become a lot more conservative. All of a sudden, they go from mini skirt to like, hey, I'm not really trying to show anything, right? Everything becomes a lot more conservative. I don't want to spend too much money. I don't want to go out to eat. I don't want to buy this. I don't want to buy that. I'm just going to wait because I don't know what's going to happen. And they tend to be hoarders of money because they start to save a lot of money. But what happens is, by the way, that's the worst thing to do, because when the economy slows down, that's not what you want, right? At all. But the point is, okay, when things become like this, the prices of things, assets, usually, they start to fall because people are not buying. And if you're selling something and no one's buying it, what are you going to do? You're going to try to lower the price to attract some new buyers. That's what happens. And that's when me and you, average folks, okay, we can come in and step in and say, hey, the stock market is down 10-20%. It's a perfect time to go ahead and buy at a discount. Hey, the real estate market is down 10-20%. It's a perfect time to go ahead and buy some properties to rent out to people for the same exact price, although the property prices are actually down, which means we're actually going to make a greater profit, even though the rates might be up, because eventually everything is going to adjust, okay? At least that's the idea, because over the past, I don't know how long America's been, like a long time, over the past few generations that we've been around here in America, right? The idea is that we've recovered from every recession, every depression. And if we didn't, we wouldn't be here, okay? But that's the idea. Markets have cycles. You're gonna have good times, you're gonna have bad times. But again, when you're in it, you don't see it like that logically. It's kind of like when you're in a bad situation, all you can see is the bad situation. You don't think about, well, things are probably going to be better in a year from now or 2 years from now. No, you think your whole life is over, especially people, for example, if you get rejected by a college, you don't get accepted, you're like, okay, my life is over. It's ruined. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be homeless. But no, like, things are probably going to work out in the end. That's what happens during recessions. Everyone's so focused on the bad, they forget about it's probably going to recover. Things are going to be fine. And that's where people like you and me can come in and make a lot of money. So that's why recessions are such a great tool for the interchange of money from the hands of the impatient and the worried and the scared to the people that are more patient.
Sorry, could you say that again?
I wasn't talking to you, man. What's wrong with Siri, fam? So now, how exactly do you go ahead and make a profit from the entire recession? And by this point, you probably understand how the whole thing works, but just to send it home, there are 3 little steps here to make sure you actually set yourself up for success when the whole thing happens, if it does happen. And by the way, it's not like it's gonna happen today, and if you weren't ready and prepared for, you're not really going to be able to take advantage of anything, because the first thing you're going to need is you're going to need this, okay, cash, okay? Cash is very important, because with this is how you're going to be able to go out there and purchase the assets that are now undervalued, meaning they're selling for less than they're actually worth, because people just don't want to buy them right now or are a lot more scarce. So if you don't have any cash, you can't take advantage of opportunities. So having cash around is very important. Now, people might say, tell me, well, I have good credit, so I can just borrow a ton of money. But you got to be careful with that, because a recession can turn into a depression, okay? And that's not good either. But it can take a long time for a market to recover. Last bad one in the 1900s, it took around like 25 years for a full-on recovery. So it's kind of like you're gonna be buying these things with cash, but as soon as you mix in a lot of debt and so on, if things take a lot longer to recover, you might be screwed over. Okay, so don't over leverage when it comes to this stuff. Having cash on hand helps you take advantage of things, but not have to worry about, hey, but I lost my job now. You know what I mean? So having cash on hand is gonna help you a lot. Second thing is, okay, guys, you're gonna need to set a target. If you have no target and you have all of these opportunities, you're probably going to try to hit all of them, and you're basically just going to waste all your brain power. Meaning, hey, are you going to focus on the stock market, on the real estate market, maybe on the undervalued businesses that are just basically coming up right now? And what exactly are you going to focus on? My bread and butter is more stocks and index funds. But if I were to focus on real estate, you focus on real estate and you look for all those opportunities, and you basically maximize and double down on what you basically know and understand. I'd rather put all of my eggs in the basket I really understand and watch that basket, than to put my eggs into multiple baskets that I don't understand and don't know what's actually going on, okay? So focused mind here pays a lot, especially in the long term. And the third thing is you need to have knowledge, and you also need to have a timeline. Again, I said this before, a timeline. A recession can last not just a few months, but it can actually last a very long time. So it's your job to understand what's going on. That's the knowledge part. So right now, the Fed raised the rates, okay? So people can't borrow that much money. So people become a lot more skeptical also about the stock market. And they don't want to basically buy homes right now as much anymore. So then that market kind of slows down. In return, the economy kind of slows down. But then inflation also goes down a little bit more. So that's also a great thing. But people right now are panicking, right? It's kind of how I put everything into my mind to make sense of it. And I say, well, if the market is down 10% or 20%, right? Or whatever it is when the time actually comes, the idea is, well, is that justified for whatever the action actually is right now that's causing that? And if the answer is no, like it's not justified, it's just basically people over-exaggerating things, then I can say, hey, it's a great deal and I want to take advantage of it. But if in my mind, all I know is, hey, the market is down, let me go ahead and buy the dip, and that's basically what I'm going to do. It's not that smart, because it might be down because we're about to get into a crazy war that we're actually not going to win. I'm not saying that, by the way, but I'm saying, like, in a hypothetical situation, you want to make sure you understand the situation so you can basically understand what your next step is going to be. And you're making it from a grounded point and not based off anybody else's opinion. Because although advice is free, when you lose your money, no one is going to put that money back into your pocket. Okay, so make sure you understand what you're doing with your money, because this takes a lot of work to basically get. So don't waste it, especially listen to other people out there on the internet. Just confirm everything. I always say, don't believe what I say, verify everything, and make your own choices, because personal finance is personal, okay? Now, just a quick example here for all the people that learn like me, like very slowly and visually. The answer is this right here is my entire portfolio, as you can see. So I have $250,000 in there, but my portfolio right now is actually down a ton. So it's actually down not a ton, but more like around like 3-4%. But this much for me to be down is insane, right? And some of my investments right now, guess what? Most of them are basically up, but some of them, guess what? They're down 11%, 12%, 11%. And that means, hey, I can go ahead and capitalize off of this and buy some of these investments for a massive discount. So if I have cash on hand, if I have a target, which is index funds for me and ETFs, and I also have a timeline and understand the market, I can go ahead and capitalize on whatever is basically going on. So that's a quick example. And by the way, right now, I'm only investing like $500 per week, because I'm also like remodeling a house right now. So a lot of my capital is being expanded right there. But if I wanted to go ahead and put money into this, I would. But the big thing is, remember, whatever money you're putting into, especially the stock market, you're not guaranteed to get that money back or get that return back in 1 year or 2 years. It might take a lot longer for the market to adjust back to its regular value. Okay, so keep that in mind. It's very important you keep that in mind. So go ahead and invest the amount of money you're able to invest right now, capitalize, but don't put all of your eggs into one basket, like I said before. But then the big problem is that you need eggs to make breakfast, because basically you got no eggs, okay? So just make sure you invest the cash you have available, but you also leave cash in case you need that cash for something else at the same time, okay? Very important. Now that's the first thing. That's how you make a profit from the whole thing that's going on, okay? If it does happen. But right now, again, we just have an alert. Now, the way you survive is a lot more simple. The first thing is you need to have at least 6 to 12 months worth of emergency funds. Meaning, if you spend $1,000 per month, we'll have that multiplied by 6 in your savings accounts. In case anything goes wrong, you have at least 6 months to figure out exactly what you're gonna do. 6 months is more than enough, but 12 months is awesome for all the paranoid people out there, especially like me. I like having some extra money in there because I like being protected for a long time. So 12 months is overkill. 6 months is great, it's fine, don't worry that much. Second thing is having lower costs of living. This happens by lowering your 4 main expenses. You have shelter, utilities, groceries, and transportation. So shelter, you can actually lower it a lot more by either changing apartments or, for example, paying down your home as fast as possible, or trying to pay off your home as fast as possible. So one big thing I did was that right now my shelter cost is going to be 0 because I have a paid off home. And on top of that, all I have to pay is insurance, because you always want to be insured in case anything happens, and that's like $100 a month, okay? So not that bad at all. But then when it comes to, for example, utilities, you lower this stuff by keeping what you need, right? And not paying for cable and dumb stuff like that, because you don't really need that stuff. And then groceries, I shop at Costco, I buy everything in bulk. That helps me out a lot. And then when it comes to transportation, I go ahead and have a paid off car. That way I'm not worried about payments. So having paid off stuff and then having no debt helps you a ton, and having a budget to manage your expenses is gonna help you a ton when it comes to having a low cost of living. And this helps you because when things go wrong, you don't really need that much money to survive. But if you're a lawyer making $100K a year, but your expenses are basically like a ton of money per month, and if something happens to your income, then you have all of these high expenses and you can't really make enough to pay that. And that's not what you basically want. And the third thing here, most important thing, by the way, is to have a secured income stream. So I remember I had a job, okay? And this job sucked. But it sucked so bad that I always felt like literally a computer, a software can do my work for me and I don't have to be here. Or anyone with like 3 days of training can do my job. And I was like, why am I here? And why am I being paid for this? Okay, it makes no sense, okay? Guess what happens, okay? Usually those jobs are not secured. You can basically be cut. You can basically be replaced for someone cheaper. So if your income stream, your main source is not secure like that, the answer is that's not usually what you want. So you might have to go ahead and develop some training, some new skills to get a new job where you can't just have an average Joe come out of nowhere and take your job because it's so important. Like nurses, lawyers, accountants, real estate people, like all these, well, real estate people maybe like a little less, okay, but maybe like loan brokers and so on. Like these people, they have jobs that are needed and will be needed for a very long time during a good economy and also during a bad economy. So look for a job where you enjoy it, but it's also needed and it's also going to make you a good amount of money, okay? That's the most important thing, and that's going to help you out a lot. And if you have a business, then great, because then you control your own income. But if your business is not recession proof, then that might also be a problem. But overall, guys, that's all I got to give you. So you know exactly why recessions are good, because prices go down. You know how to capitalize off of it, know what you're doing, have some cash on the side, and you also know how to protect yourself when things go wrong, okay? So that's the whole idea. And by the way, don't take this plan and wait for a recession. No, you take this plan, you start preparing today, so when it happens, you can go ahead and take advantage, okay? That's how things work. Luck is whenever opportunity meets preparation. Not when you're not prepared, the opportunity is there, and you can't do anything with it, okay? That's not what you want. But guys, overall, thanks for watching. As always, like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notified, comment down below any questions. I'm here to answer all the questions. On top of that, also here's more content up here. My face is up here. If you want to DM me on Instagram at Tommy Bryson, it's my only Instagram. It's at Tommy Bryson. It's right here. It's the only way you spelled it. Don't get scammed by other people, because I'm not going to ask you for money or Bitcoin or any of that nonsense. Thanks for watching. As always, Long-Term Team officially out.